Hello, my name is Jim Siegel. I'm going to demonstrate for you today using Tosca from Tricentis and showing you the power and ease with which you can create automated tests with the Tosca tool. We'll do this using a fairly simple example. We're going to use this web page called Fake Name Generator. And what we'll show is that with each time we generate a new name, the new name is different from the prior name. So you'll notice if I click on the generate button, it creates a new name, addresses, and a number of other pieces of data that are associated with each of these names. So we'll go into Tosca and we'll automate the process of verifying that these names and data are different. So going into the Tosca commander, you'll notice that I've already loaded the standard modules. We'll be taking advantage of a number of the tools that are contained within the standard modules. And then the next step will be for us to X-scan the random name generator web page. So we'll right click on modules, select scan application and desktop, and once X-scan is running, we'll select the appropriate web page, and then we will use the select on screen feature, which allows us to identify the controls that we want to validate or manipulate within our test. So I've included the generate button, the name, the address, and I'm going to include the phone number too, like I mentioned earlier, and then click done. Now, one thing that we'll have to resolve here, these three variables are not uniquely identified. So we will select XPath for each of those, which will uniquely identify them and resolve our issue. And then we'll save and close. All right. So if we think about the process that we'll go through to conduct this test, we're going to want to open up the web page, wait a few seconds so that we can make sure that the browser renders the page accordingly. Then we will generate a first name and store in a buffer the name, address, and phone number that is generated on that first iteration. We'll then click the generate button again, creating a new name, and then we'll make sure that a couple seconds pass, and then we'll compare the new name, address, and phone number to those values that are stored in the buffer. And once that's done, we'll then close the web page. So I'm going to close the browser. And so my first step will be opening the URL. So we'll grab this module and we will, oh, I'm sorry, 1 second. We're going to create a new folder. We'll call this validate fake names. Okay, now we'll drag this first module over and we will name this open URL. And here we will insert www.fakename generator.com. Okay. Now our next step will be a wait step. So we will insert that module and we'll say wait for browser to render, and wait 10 seconds or 10,000 milliseconds and make sure that is numeric. It is. Okay. So now we will actually begin manipulating the controls on the fake name generator website. So we'll grab this module and drag it across, and we'll call this generate first iteration. And so we're going to click on the generate button, and then on H3 we're going to pull the inner text out of what is rendered on the screen. So we'll put inner text, and let's call this buffer generated name, and we'll make that a buffer, and we'll make this one a buffer, and this one a buffer as well, and this will be inner text, and we'll call this generated address, and we'll call this generated phone. Okay, so now we've stored those values in the buffers. And now what we'll want to do is click the generate button again. So I'm just going to grab this module and bring it back up. And I'll call this generate second iteration. And we'll merely click on this instance, and then we'll put in another wait step to make sure that the browser renders. And I'll call this step wait for browser to render. And we'll again insert a 10-second wait time, or 10,000 milliseconds. Then we want to verify that the values in the new name, address, and phone number are different than the values that are in the buffer. So again, I'm going to pull over a module. I'm going to call this verify buffer not equal new name. And so here we're going to do a verify, and again we'll do inner text. Now we want to select the not equal here, and again we're gonna want to look at the buffer. So I'm going to use the correct syntax. This will be generated name. equal to. And finally, inner text not equal to the buffer generated phone. Okay. And finally, we'll want to close the browser. I'm going to do that by sending sending keys. So I'm going to select this module and again pull it over, and we'll call this close browser. And the keys we need to send are percent F4 okay. We should be ready to run now. So we'll switch over to our Scratchbook, and I will right click on validate, fake name, and run in Scratchbook. So this pops up our web page, and then you'll notice that the cursor moves over and clicks the generate button. We get a new name. We've stored the last name in a buffer. We wait 10 seconds, and we close the browser. And we ran with success, and we'll just take a look here at the details. So here we see we set the buffer names. And address and so forth. Then we generated a new set. We verified, those were successful, and we closed the browser. One other quick thing that we could look at, just to look at the value of the final buffers, just to see for ourselves, if we go into settings and engine, and here are our buffers, and indeed we have new names in those buffers. So I hope this was a useful demonstration and shows the capabilities and ease of use of Tosca. And thank you for your time. I enjoyed giving you this demonstration and hope that you'll consider using Tosca in the future. Thank you.